Hey everyone, I'm Mr. Willis, and you will love economics. Game theory is the study of how people behave in strategic situations. While game theory can be applied in many fields, including politics, war, and sociology, economists use game theory to predict the strategic behaviors of firms that collude in an oligopolistic industry. Remember, oligopolists must carefully select a strategy based entirely on the strategy they think the other firms in the industry will use. Selecting the correct strategy will ensure the best possible outcome and the highest possible payoff for the firm and its fellow colluders. Selecting the wrong strategy could reduce profits for everyone. In essence, colluding oligopolists are playing a game where the profits of each firm in the market depends on the choices of every firm involved. Game theory provides crucial insight into how and why these choices are made. Let's take a look at the players, strategies, and payoffs associated with game theory. To better understand how game theory works, let's play a game called The Prisoner's Dilemma. The Prisoner's Dilemma is perhaps the most famous and well-known game in game theory. Assume that two criminals are arrested for armed robbery and taken to separate holding cells at a local police station, where they are interrogated by detectives. Because they're being held in separate cells, neither prisoner can talk to the other, and each prisoner will act in his own self-interest. Provided is a typical game theory matrix for this scenario. Game theory usually involves two players. In this game, prisoner 1 is the rogue player, and prisoner 2 is the column player. In every game theory scenario, each player has two possible strategies to choose from. In this game, each prisoner can choose to either rat out the other prisoner and blame them for the robbery, or use their right to remain silent and stay quiet about the crime. In every game, there are 4 possible payoffs for each player based on the strategies each player has to choose from. As the rogue player, prisoner 1's payoffs are listed first, and as the column player, prisoner 2's payoffs are listed second. In this game, if both prisoners rat each other out, they both go to jail for 5 years. If prisoner 1 stays quiet and prisoner 2 rats him out, prisoner 1 goes to jail for 10 years, and prisoner 2 goes free. If prisoner 2 stays quiet and prisoner 1 rats him out, prisoner 2 goes to jail for 10 years, and prisoner 1 goes free. And if both prisoners stay quiet, they both go to jail for 6 months. For both players, the most desired payoff is to go free and avoid jail at all costs. However, the only way to achieve this payoff is to rat out the other prisoner and blame them for the crime. Without knowing the other player's potential payoffs, each player is only aware of their own. Prisoner 1 knows that staying quiet about the crime guarantees that he goes away to jail for either 10 years or 6 months. The only strategy that allows him the possibility of walking away and avoiding jail time is to rat out his accomplice. Because he has the same 2 strategies and faces the exact same payoffs, prisoner 2 has the same thought process as prisoner 1. So, considering that both prisoners are unaware of each other's payoffs and they are unable to collude, what will be the outcome of this game? Easy. Each player will choose the strategy that is capable of giving them the most desired payoff. Both prisoners will rat out the other, and both prisoners will receive 5 years in jail. Realizing that they can go free and escape jail if they implicate their accomplice, both prisoners will blame each other for the crime. By doing so, they will both implicate each other, giving the police the evidence they need to put them in jail for 5 years. The prisoner's dilemma game scenario can be applied to oligopolistic firms who strategize to set market price and output. For example, suppose that firm X and firm Y are non-colluding firms in an oligopolistic market. Each firm is trying to decide whether to produce at a higher output level or a lower output level,
Neither firm could talk to the other, and neither knows the other's payoffs. It's easy to predict the outcome of a game theory scenario once you learn to identify certain strategies. Here are some tips to follow. First, determine whether each firm has a dominant strategy. A dominant strategy is a player's best strategy, regardless of the strategy chosen by the other player. Because a player's dominant strategy will guarantee a better payoff, regardless of the other player's strategy, a player will always choose to follow their dominant strategy if they have one. Look again at this game theory scenario. Does firm X have a dominant strategy? Yes. Firm X's dominant strategy is to set a low output level. If firm Y commits to following a high output strategy, firm X's better strategy is to set a lower output because it will earn $2,000 in profit, as opposed to the $500 in profit it would have earned had it also set a higher output. Even if firm Y were to set a low output, firm X's better strategy is still to set a lower output because it will earn $1,000 in profit, as opposed to the $800 in profit it would have earned had it decided to set a higher output. As a result, because firm X will earn greater economic profits by producing less output, regardless of what firm Y decides to do, firm X's dominant strategy is to set a low output level, and will therefore produce less. But what about firm Y? Does it have a dominant strategy? It sure does. In this game theory matrix, the payoffs for each firm are the same given their respective strategies. Firm Y's dominant strategy is also to set a lower output level. Like firm X, when choosing a low output strategy, firm Y will earn $1,500 more in economic profit if firm X sets its output high, and $200 more in economic profit if firm X sets its output low. As a result, because firm Y will earn greater economic profits by producing less output, regardless of what firm X decides to do, firm Y's dominant strategy is to set a low output level, and will therefore also produce less. Now that we've analyzed the strategies and payoffs for each firm, we can easily predict the outcome of this game theory scenario. We have identified that the dominant strategy for each firm is to set a lower output level. Because a player will always choose to follow their dominant strategy if they have one, we can conclude that firm X and firm Y will both choose to follow a low output strategy, and each firm will earn $1,000 in economic profit. This game theory scenario also has a Pareto optimal outcome. A Pareto optimal outcome occurs when there is no other outcome that makes every player just as well off, and at least one player strictly better off. The outcome cannot be improved upon without hurting at least one player. Quite simply, there is no other outcome that simultaneously benefits both players more. For example, if firm X were to set a low output and firm Y chose to deviate from its dominant strategy and set a high output instead, firm X would gain $1,000 more in additional profits, but firm Y would lose $200 in profits. Likewise, if firm Y were to set a low output and firm X chose to deviate from its dominant strategy and set a high output instead, firm Y would gain $1,000 more in additional profits, but firm X would lose $200 in profits. If both firms decided to deviate from their dominant strategies in order to increase their output levels, both firms would lose $500 in profits. As a result, by choosing to follow a low output strategy, both firms will achieve a Pareto optimal outcome. In addition, firm X and firm Y also arrive at a Nash equilibrium with this outcome. A Nash equilibrium outcome occurs when each player chooses the strategy that makes them better off given the other player's strategy. Let's assume that each firm is now aware of the payoffs in this matrix. If both firms are aware of the potential payoffs in this scenario, each firm can use these payoffs to successfully identify the dominant strategy of the other firm, and then choose the best possible strategy to achieve the highest possible payoff for themselves. For example, firm Y knows that setting a low output level is a dominant strategy for firm X because it provides better payoffs, regardless of what firm Y decides to do. As a result, Knowing that firm X is guaranteed to follow its dominant strategy, firm Y can evaluate the potential profits it can earn with firm X committed to a low output strategy and select the strategy that offers a greater payoff. By also setting its output at a lower level, firm Y can earn $200 more in economic profits than if it set a higher output, leading firm Y to select a low output strategy and arriving at a Nash equilibrium outcome for both firms. Now that we've covered game theory strategies and outcomes, let's practice with different game theory scenarios. Assume that alpha and beta are non-colluding firms in an oligopolistic market. They have the choice to set their prices high or set their prices low, and their potential daily profits are listed in the matrix provided. Both firms are aware of the potential payoffs, but their choices are hidden from each other. If both firms set their prices high, they will both earn $5,000 in daily profit. If alpha sets its price high and beta sets its price low, alpha will only earn $2,000 in daily profit, while beta will earn $8,000. If alpha sets its price low and beta sets its price high, alpha will earn $8,000 in daily profit, while beta will only earn $2,000. If both firms set their prices low, they will both earn $3,000 in daily profit. Let's use these potential payoffs to determine the strategies for each firm and the likely outcome of this game theory scenario. First, does alpha have a dominant strategy? Yes. Alpha's dominant strategy is to set its price low because that strategy will give alpha a better payoff regardless of beta's strategy. If beta follows a high price strategy, alpha's better strategy is to set its price low because it will earn $8,000 in profit as opposed to the $5,000 in profit it would have earned had it also set a higher price. Even if beta were to also set a low price, alpha's better strategy is still to set its price low because it will earn $3,000 in profit as opposed to the $2,000 in profit it would have earned had it decided to set a higher price. As a result, because alpha will earn greater economic profits by setting a lower price, regardless of what beta decides to do, alpha's dominant strategy is to set a low market price and will therefore charge consumers less. It appears that beta also has a dominant strategy. With identical payoffs, beta's dominant strategy is also to set a low price level. Like alpha, when choosing a low price strategy, beta will earn $3,000 more in daily profit if alpha sets its price high, and $1,000 more in daily profit if alpha also sets its price low. So what is the likely outcome of this game theory scenario? Both alpha and beta will follow their dominant strategies and set their prices low, leading both firms to earn $3,000 in economic profit. What is the Pareto optimal outcome of this scenario? Well, remember that a Pareto optimal outcome occurs when there